Resident Evil 8 is a weird game. A very weird game. And not the kind of so quirky XD rar Saints Row dubstep gun kind of weird. I'm talking about the experimental game design and abstract structure kind of weird. If I had to put Resident Evil 8 into a category of games, it'd go in the pretentious creme de la creme, I swear games can be high art, please believe me category. And yes, I'm saying the mommy dommy vampire girl game should be placed in the same group as Last of Us. Fight me.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Isn't it kind of weird all these games have a protagonist swap at some point in them? It's almost like their abstract design philosophies may be more similar than they initially seem. The general consensus for Village is that it's a blend of Leon Kennedy 4 and Louisiana 7. And while that is a pretty accurate description of Resi 8 on the surface, I think the game is much more than that. If you were to put Resident Evil 1 through 7 into a blender and then threw in a Bloodborne werewolf just for a bit of extra spice, you'd get this weird slurry mixture of conflicting horror and action ideas, goofy dialogue,
I'm not looking in fish food.
radically different playstyles, a focus on big, usually unkillable monsters, occasionally some non-working AI,
Are you finished?
and a bit of wolf fur. Which sounds like an absolute mess of a drink that you really shouldn't consume, right? See, but that would make sense. It should be bad. Having each segment of the game feel like an entirely different game in its own right wouldn't make any sense because it shouldn't work. Well, Resident Evil 8 is not a game that makes a lot of sense. Let's take a step back and look at the game's structure. You have the first hour of being railroaded into cutscene after cutscene while you explore the village, which leads you to the big lady house where you explore a big old mansion castle area similar to older Resi titles. You then return to the village to find new ways of exploration. Then you make your way to House Benevento? You make your way to the PT house where you lose all your weapons and must solve a locked room mystery.
The biggest mystery of all, the locked room, still has yet to be explained.
Oh, what the fuck? Then again to a new section of the village and then to the sunken city where you hide from big unkillable monsters in a linear straight path for a while. One last return to the now at Sunset Village, wow. And then you go to Heisenberg's factory, which feels like the castle area ramped up to 11, but now with robo-zombies. After that is a mech fight, a Call of Duty level, then the last boss, which just has way too much health. Every single area feels completely and utterly different from each other. Seriously, we go from Silent Hill homage to Modern Warfare in the span of like 5 hours. It's like Capcom hired 10 different small dev teams and told them each to make a different game. But it somehow all works together.
Oh, yes.
I really did not enjoy the first hour of the game, which was just baby time and wandering around the village aimlessly. But I understand where we got it. If we didn't get that initial scene of Ethan Winters and Rose, we wouldn't fully understand his obsession with getting his daughter back for the entire game. And if we didn't have the first hour of railroaded cutscenes, unnamed villagers die, run away from the 4 great ones, oh no, nonsense, then we wouldn't have the slight understanding one would need to truly enjoy exploring the village when you return to it. Okay, so the game is this weird hodgepodge of ideas, whatever YouTube guy, but we all know that only the castle area really feels like Resident Evil. That's why it's the best part of the game. No. Even though the pacing in the game is like going to a carnival and going on the rides one at a time, it still has that core of what the Resident Evil series is. And I mean the whole Resident Evil series. Do you want the cramped environments where you backtrack, solve puzzles, and run away from big things like in Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3? The castle and some of the village segments follow the same philosophy as those games. Do you want the complex combat, set pieces, and over-the-topness while still being kinda spooky, like Resi 4 and 5? Then the sunken city, factory, and multiple side areas in the village got you covered. And if you're one of the 2 people who liked 6, we got a mech fight and a battlefield mission that really hit the same feeling of the non-stop explosions and whatever Resident Evil 6 is. And do I even need to say the parts in this game that are like Resi 7, or the series' wiser but deceased brother, Silent Hill? Village takes elements and ideas from every single mainline Resident Evil game and mixes it into something brand new. Village feels unique just as much as it feels like the exact same game you've played in the past. But does Village do action as well as Resi 4? Or does it do horror as well as Resi 1 or 7? No, not really. But it does each part well enough to make it feel like its own thing. Village is a jack of all trades trades, master of none. And each individual part of Village on its own doesn't amount to much, but as a whole it adds up to an unforgettable experience. Like, even the boating part of the game feels familiar to other games I've played, but it somehow doesn't seem out of place. Okay, seriously, what's with the small boat exploration going on in AAA games lately? Is this a trend now? Are we gonna see more of this? Resident Evil Village is a consistently inconsistent game, and that takes a lot of guts and careful planning to pull off correctly. This consistent inconsistency seems to be both the game's blessing and curse. The combat, environments, locations, what you do in the game, all change drastically in each area. Even the writing is really inconsistent. Sometimes it's really good with genuinely fantastic delivery.
Because he is in my castle and has already proven too much for my daughters to handle. When I find him... No, Mother Miranda.
And sometimes it's...
I'm not looking to fish food. I'm sick of bugs. Damn freak! You're the one who's cursed.
Sadler, you're small time.
And while Ethan Winters' lines don't hit the same punch as "Where's everyone going? Bingo?" it still hits that B-movie cheesy charm that Resident Evil has always been about.
I'll just be taking this.
What are you doing with Mother's special child?
She's not hers.
Even if Resident Evil 1 and 7 are super duper scary, there's still giant sharks and a chainsaw psycho girlfriend in them. Even if Resi 4 has the perfect third-person combat system and has moments of genuine terror, there's still Leon being his idiot self and Ashley wearing a suit of armor. Even if Resi 6 tries to take itself seriously, it fails because there's like a weird T-Rex boss or something. What the hell happens in that game? Every title of the series has moments of genuine terror as well as more comically goofy moments. That's what makes the series so great. For every horrifying baby monster, we have a goofy comically large man selling you guns. Big Lady is both extremely charming, honestly kind of silly looking, and genuinely scary to run away from at times. For every moment of shock and terror, we get one that's so over the top we can't help but laugh at it. Is that not what the Resident Evil series has always been about? The perfect video game B horror movie?
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
Resident Evil Village gave me as much joy in its goofy, disjointed structure as it did in its combat and extremely well-executed horror moments. The beauty of Resident Evil is that each installment feels extremely unique and varied. Each game has a new, fresh take on what the series is and what it could possibly be. There can't really be another Resident Evil like any of the others, and the spin-offs have proved that the series just doesn't work well when it tries to reflect the same things as the numbered titles. For better or worse, each game in the series is a unique experience. It's a series that has some of the best games ever made within the game industry, and a game where you punch a rock for 5 minutes. I absolutely loved Resident Evil 8-age. I never imagined a game could take so many ideas from other titles and games and make something entirely new with them. And despite the game being a jack of all trades, I found myself completely hooked and engaged throughout the entire circus of Resi 8's world. So if I had the chance to change any part of Village's radically different design decisions and areas to make it a bit more cohesive, would I do it? No thanks, bro.